What's going on, everyone? Halloween's over. We're into a new month. So I figured we kind of shift away from horror and maybe into more comedy and drama, my favorite kinds of films. I thought we would start this off with a more obscure comedy that came out back in 2006. So let's get started. I really like Accepted. Call this a confession if you want, depending on how you feel about this film. Is it an obscure film? Sure. Is it cinematic gold, a masterpiece, or anything that will change the landscape of motion pictures like, say, Kubrick's 2001? Absolutely not. And I'm not trying to persuade you otherwise. What I am trying to do is persuade you that this comedy is way better than you remember. I saw it back in '06 and viewed it merely as a funny movie. But in 2020, I have grown to truly enjoy it. Accepted has a small cast, and while none of them are as fleshed out as they could be, they all serve a purpose in telling a story about people who are outcasts or just lost in need of something. The film's tone is way more comedic than dramatic, but the dramatic scenes have a lot under the surface. Our primary antagonist is Bartleby Gaines, a high school senior played by Justin Long, perfectly, who's been rejected by all of the colleges he's applied to, and he's not alone. A bunch of his fellow classmates are in the same boat as him, lost, in their own ways, and in need of direction. In a sort of desperate attempt to fit in with society and please his parents who are disappointed in him due to the constant rejection, he creates his own university, the South Harmon Institute of Technology, appropriately poking fun at reputable universities like MIT or Harvard. In the process, he inadvertently invites thousands of other rejected individuals to join him, and our story begins. All of this eventually collapses, as Bartleby's secret could obviously not last forever, but believing his experiment to be valuable, he applies for collegiate accreditation. The students that show up to Bartleby's institution show up to his accreditation process, and they support him, proving there to be supporters of what our protagonist is saying or trying to do. This accreditation process is the best scene in the film. While Bartleby did have the means to be an accredited institution, it did not have a result to prove it effectual. But the audience knows it was, at least somewhat. Students at the shit school used what they had going for them and tried to make something out of it. For example, Bartleby's friend lost his football scholarship, and so he returns to the love of wood carving he had as a child. Some skateboarders eventually learn how to build a half-pipe. There's even an exotic dancer who eventually takes up graphic design and creating the school's logo and colors. You get the idea. Once Bartleby feels the approaching rejection he's used to at the hands of the school's administrators, he lets loose and states his case, on his terms. He explains how his college allowed its students to veer off from the norm and into a lane more suitable for them and their experiences. It's sort of beautiful when you think about it. This impresses the school's administrators so much that they grant Bartleby's college continuity, albeit in a probationary fashion. This shocks Bartleby because he finally gains acceptance, something he didn't think he used to have with his parents and something he definitely did not have with school or society around him. Again, is this cinematic gold? No, but its feel-good moments have enough charm and heart to allow it to work for me. From the onset of this film, Bartleby is depicted as someone who thinks outside the box, and it all comes to fruition when he starts this crazy experiment. It uses a heightened situation of radical college experiment to comedically depict outside-the-box thinking. Perhaps that's this film's main goal. A great scene to illustrate how lost many college students feel is when Bartleby's visiting a college near his campus, and he's just standing in the middle of a bunch of students walking around, just looking lost. It's a really good scene. Now, you can think this movie has its ridiculous moments, but I think the film knows that. I mean, this film is fiction, so what if this probably couldn't pass in the real world? I'm fine with that. It's still entertaining, and I think that's why I like this film, because it contains a balanced combination of entertainment and heartfelt moments. I do admire this film's intention of being grounded in reality and encouragement of innovation. As I said earlier, Justin Long carries this film, but Jonah Hill is really good too. He plays Sherman Schrader, another friend of Bartleby's. His character represents traditional college students. He's a stickler for attending a high-level college and subjects himself to embarrassing hazing. A girl Bartleby wants to has issues with her degree, and Bartleby encourages her to find her passion without the confines of academia. Part of Bartleby's epiphany arises due to witnessing the horrendous stress that Schrader endures at the hands of his frat and the shitty things about traditional academia that his love interest endures. So I think this film is a good comedy to revisit, and an extremely underrated one at that. Think about it. Have you ever been rejected from something and crave acceptance? I'm not talking about youthful popularity. What about pleasing your parents? It's a difficult thing to entertain because, as in Bartleby's case, you want to do the right thing by the people around you. But at the end of the day, you need to do what's right for yourself more so. Every college student has gone through this, even in the slightest, trying to get into a school because of its reputation and surrounding hype. Personally, an education is what you make out of it. Regardless of the kind of school you attend, a valuable education can result, which is something I think a lot of people still don't understand. I went through college, and I can understand how difficult it can be, but I also understand how rewarding it can be, and so I appreciate this film trying to fit somewhere in the middle. And even from a non-educational standpoint, everyone experiences rejection, whichever form that may be. Everyone feels lost at some point, and it's important to think for yourself and try new things. Subject yourself to things you didn't think was possible, and maybe something great will come out of it. I think Accepted asks people not to look down on innovation, but up to it. As cheesy as it sounds, be who you are. It's the only way to satisfactory success. Thank you all so much for watching. I really appreciate your support. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, comment, subscribe to the channel. I'd be more than appreciative if you did. Have a great day, and I will see you guys next week.